Hello, good evening, and welcome to Old Iron Garage. So this evening, we are going to continue working on the Wisconsin Model AB engine. So there's a few things yet that need to be addressed, and I don't know if they will all be addressed in this video. I doubt it. So, but we are going to start with one smaller thing. And that would be the magneto cover. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on video, but there is a gash right, you're looking right below my finger here. There's a gash there, and that gash actually has a small hole that would allow moisture and dirt to get into the magneto, and I do not like that. You definitely don't want dirt getting in, but you especially do not want moisture getting in there. That can cause corrosion between the points, and that can cause them to not function. So I am going to I'm going to work on that a bit. Unfortunately, because of the, I just made a big dirty smudge on my nose. That's nice. Not worried about it. Anyways, because of the gear reduction housing here, I can't really just easily take off that cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on it with it on the engine. I would love to take off that cover and make sure it is clean inside the housing, but I can't unless I want to take off this whole gear reduction housing, and I don't really wish to do that. So I'm just going to start by cleaning the area. I'm actually just going to kind of clean the whole housing. It doesn't matter if a little bit of brake cleaner gets in there. That's not going to cause it to corrode. It's not going to cause the contacts, the contact points to, or the ignition points to corrode. But yeah, I'm going to clean the area, get it grease-free, free of grease and dirt. And I suppose, I believe I forgot to mention the reason why I would have to take the whole gear reduction housing off to get the points cover off, or the magneto cover off, is because it is blocking access to one of the screws that holds that cover on. But anyways, so now I am going to probably, let's scratch that up a bit with some sandpaper. I'm going to end up using some epoxy to seal that up again. I could just put a smear of silicone, some RTV on there, but I would like to use something a little more permanent. So let's scratch up that area so we can get good adhesion with some epoxy. Using some 80 grit? 80 grit, so we can get a good bite. We're going to clean it again. And let's get let's get this box over here. You know, actually, there's one thing I wanted to show you that I have not yet. So I wanted to order some not that one. I wanted to order some thread locker, but I wanted to order the bigger bottles. But it can be a little pricey. But I got the 2 of these on Amazon for what? What did I pay? I think around $10 maybe. As you can see, they are not Loctite brand. I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but they're basically the same exact thing. Actually, I think they are the same exact thing. It's just, yeah. It's even got the same look. And they seem to work the same. They seem to work just as good as the real thing. But it's just a cheaper brand. So wanted to give those a try, and they seem to be working great so far. I'm going to need a piece of cardboard. Got some cardboard. We're going to mix up a little bit of epoxy. We're going to put it on there. We're going to shove a little bit into that hole. And then spread a little on the outside. And call it good. Alrighty, let's mix. This is actually JB Quick, not JB Weld. So this will set up real fast, and it'll be hard in no time. So we have our epoxy mixed. Let's put a little bit on there and kind of smear it into the hole. I'm going to take the point of the screwdriver and kind of shove it in the hole. And now, just kind of smear it around that area, all around, to make sure we get a good seal. Put just a little bit more on. And that's that. Not gonna put any more on than that. There's a little bit here I'm gonna wipe off. Kind of clean it up a little bit. I don't want it to be super noticeable. One thing I like is that this is a dark color. It's almost black. It's a super dark gray, kind of like the, well, it's similar to the cover. The cover is black, so it'll blend in nicely. I'm gonna give that a little time to. I'm gonna give that a little bit of time to set up and cure, and I'll bring you guys down to take a look at it in a little bit. Alrighty, let's take a look here. Let's turn on the light. There you can see it. And it is dry to the touch, but if I push on it I could still leave a fingerprint. So we're going to leave that alone. We're going to move on to the next thing. I'm going to consider that fixed. So, the next thing, I'm going to tackle two things at once, and that is the remainder of the fuel system, but I'm also going to start working on the exhaust. So, the exhaust has got to change. I don't want to sell it, the engine, with this looking all cobbled together. What I'm probably going to end up doing is I was thinking about putting a different muffler on here. And I'm probably going to end up doing just that. So, I'm thinking this elbow here is going to stay. But from here on is going to come off. It'll go back on temporarily until I am ready to put the other muffler on. But for now, it's going to come off. But I tried to get this to spin without turning the elbow in the block. The elbow wants to turn in the block. So the whole thing's just going to have to come out. But I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. In order to get this out of there, I'm going to have to take the carburetor back off. Something I did not want to do. But it is what it is. The other thing is I need to clean the rest of the fuel system and get it sealed up. Because if you look, well, this here is still leaking, even though the valve is closed. It's still very wet. There, you can see it was pooled up on top here of this nut, basically. And it is leaking, you know, up in here. And it might be leaking at that gasket. I may have to make a new gasket. I'd like to do away with this washer, which is in there to make this tight enough up here, because this is bent. I'm going to try to bend that back to its correct shape and see if we can do away with the washer. Maybe. Hopefully. And yeah, there's just a few things I want to address. Clean out the fuel tank. That needs to be cleaned out. But anyways, we will figure out what all needs done as we go through it. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dive into that. And I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. Alrighty, here we are. Ready to try to take this off. Alright, here we go. Grabbed an 18-inch pipe wrench. I figured that should probably do it. And we're moving. We're off to the races. Okay, I might be able to turn it out by hand. Yep, here we go. Here it comes. This thing has had a handful of heat cycles, firing it up, getting it hot, and letting it cool down. And I've been pretty frequently, especially during those heat cycles, spraying it with some penetrating fluid. And just before, I actually sprayed some through the opening here and all the way up and inside, so it got all the way up and into the exhaust port and could penetrate from the inside. And that did the trick. I got it out. So now I need to remove this double-ended male thread coupler piece from the elbow. Which I have been pretty constantly spraying that as well. gonna grab that in the vise. Put the pipe wrench on here, on the coupler. Get it good and tight so we can get a good bite. And let's lean on it, see what happens. And we need to tighten the vise. Man, we're just moving that coupler in the vise so far. There we go. Had to kind of like jar it a little bit. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's give it a little more penetrating oil, and we'll get some on the inside. There we go. There we have it. Let's go put my pipe wrench away. Alrighty. Got her out. Looks like somebody's done some welding on that adapter, 1 to 1 1/4 adapter. I will clean up those welds by cutting and grinding them off, and I'll be saving this piece in case I ever need it for another exhaust in the future. Unfortunately, it looks like I may have squashed that. It's a little bit oblong now, so I'm going to try and squash it back the other way. Make it round again. It's almost there. That don't look too bad. It's not a perfect circle, but it'll work. I'll be able to use it. I can still thread into it, so I'll be able to use that. I'm going to spend a little time off camera kind of cleaning this up a little bit and throw it back on. Wanted to show you one other thing, one other issue I addressed. Right here, there is, if you look real closely, you can see the head of a bolt. That bolt passes through the wall of the threaded exhaust port, and you tighten that bolt to engage whatever exhaust piece, whatever pipe fitting you have threaded in here, and that locks it in place. That was not tight though, and I figured, well, if I get this elbow out, then I'll mess with that, because then I can see it from the inside and spray it from the inside, and that is what I did. So I have gotten that freed up and moving without snapping it off. It was pretty easy. You know, it's been through some heat cycles, it's had spray on it, it's had the penetrating fluid on it. So now we're going to thread this back in. I've got it cleaned up a bit, as good as it's going to be. Put a little lubricant on it to help with it threading in. We're going to thread her back in. And we're going to see if we can go a little further than that, though. I want to make sure we get a good bite on some threads. And we're going to put it into a position that I like. This way, away from the carburetor, and slightly downward. And we're going to go ahead and lock that position in. We're going to make this bolt engage the pipe fitting. And we're just going to snug it up. We're not going to overdo it. That bolt's a little rusty. And I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but I do have the carburetor off, as you can see. Another issue I addressed off camera, this governor arm, it's hard to see without, here we go, some light. This governor arm, it's right here. It was bent down, and it's supposed to be bent up. So I bent that up to the correct position. And I also, after the end of the last video, I should have, I think I did it after the end of the last video. I'm pretty tired right now, so I don't remember when I did it, but I got the throttle hooked back up. I hooked the throttle spring back up to the governor, and it functions as it should. It just doesn't idle down quite as low as it should. Probably going to have to play with the governor linkage length. This looks to have been either modified or it is a homemade one. So if it's a homemade one, it does function pretty well, but it does not quite push the throttle all the way against the idle adjustment screw. So, but anyways, so now we have gotten this issue addressed and the exhaust addressed for now. Now we're going to turn our attention to the fuel system. First thing I need to do is drain it. It has some fuel in there still, but as you can see by the shape of the fuel tank, it is not as it was from the factory. That, and it is also the whole tank. Not only is the top bashed in, but it is sitting a little crooked like that. So this end is lower than this end. A little bit. Everything in the fuel system leaks. So we're going to start addressing all that. First things first, let's take off this fuel line. That would be 9/16. Man, you see that? Like, everything is loose. No wonder it leaks. I've got a hold of the other end of the fuel line, and I'm just pulling it back and forth, and just look at that. It's not even tight. Oh, okay. It's not as loose as I thought it was, so we're gonna continue loosening. There we are. The fuel line is off. And we're going to set this aside. Now we just see that fuel fitting. I was able to turn that by hand. That would be this 90-degree elbow right here. So now, what do? I'm going to grab a fuel can. This one's basically empty. We're going to drain the fuel into there. See if I can get it close enough. I'm going to use the probably going to end up using this fuel line maybe to drain it into there. You know what? No. I'm just going to cut a piece of rubber fuel line. I have a spool of it right back here. And we're just going to cut a piece. We're gonna maybe try to force it up onto there enough that maybe we can thread it on. Can we? Can I get those threads to bite this fuel line? This curve is gonna fight us. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll bring you guys back in a bit. Alright. I was able to get that to thread the rubber fuel line to thread on there, and all we gotta do now is open the valve. I can see the fuel flowing through the bowl and taking more contaminants into the bowl with it, more sediment from the tank. Got a little ways to go. So, I'm going to pause the video and I'll bring you guys back in a bit. Alrighty, I'm back. So, did a couple other things off camera, but it's time to remove the fuel tank and petcock, or fuel tank and fuel sediment bowl. I don't believe I'm going to be able to unscrew this here. No. Well, maybe if I take this out. Still probably not, because, well, if I take this and the valve on the other side, the fuel shutoff valve, then maybe, but I still kind of doubt it. Yeah, no. The bracket, the fuel tank bracket, is in the way. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove the fuel tank as a whole, bracket and all. Alrighty. put away some of these tools that I don't really need at the current time. I need to do that. Here we go. 1/2-inch socket, because I have to remove this head bolt. Making a mess of fuel here on my bench. That's nice. Well, let me actually tighten that head bolt back up. That didn't tighten all the way. Probably because it wasn't previously threaded on all the way because of the that bracket. That'll have to be good enough for now. Now we're going to separate the fuel tank from the fuel tank bracket. Let me spray these. Actually, you know what? I may go ahead and separate them, but you know what? No, I'm going to address this in a separate video. I do already have the fuel cap off of there, but I'm going to set this aside and address this in a completely separate video. This will probably be a video of its own. I'm going to move on to something else in the meantime. These bolts I'm going to stick back in the block where they belong, so I don't lose them. And also, because I want to clean, tomorrow I want to clean this thing. I want to degrease and maybe power wash it. And I want those holes plugged because I don't know if they go all the way in or not. So let's plug those back up. And let's go ahead and get this off. Let's address this now. This still has some dents in it, some pretty gnarly dents. And I want to straighten it up the best I can. In I believe the first video, I straightened it up some because it was interfering with the flywheel. But I didn't straighten it all the way. Let's just lay those there for now. I have one more down here. After I get this off, I'm going to take a moment to pause the video and tidy up my bench a little bit and put things away I'm not currently using and whatnot, because the bench is getting a little cluttered, and I do not like that. Another thing that I need to do is tomorrow I'm going to have to fire up the welder. And you can see one mounting tab here. There's supposed to be another one right here. At some point in time, this thing impacted something. When that happened, that tab broke off. And it is still bolted to the engine block over here. So tomorrow I'm going to have to unbolt that, clean this up, clean that tab, and weld them. And at the same time, this one's bent. I'm going to straighten it out and put like a couple tacks on there to help hold it. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to pause the video here and clean up some clutter. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, I'm back. So I've decluttered the bench a bit. So here we are. Here is the piece that we need to work on next. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove this tag. This is held on with screws and not with rivets. Thank God for that. If I can get the screwdriver to stay in the slot. Trying to clean out the slot from any dirt and rust. Come on now. I'm going to try a different screwdriver. That one will not fit. Okay, so I have to work with a smaller one. Let me try a different, smaller screwdriver. See if this one fits any better. It does. Come on. The first one, the black and yellow handled one, the Stanley one, those have a lot more years of use on them. So they're not perfect anymore. These Milwaukees are a lot newer, have a lot less years of use. So some of the old Stanley ones that I have are not in as good a shape as they once were. I'm going to have to save these screws. I'm going to want to put them back in. So I'm going to grab a little Ziploc bag and throw these in there once I get them all out. I do also need to straighten the dents. There's some dents in this ID tag that match the flywheel cover. Got a bag right here. I keep some Ziploc bags out here. These are very handy for parts. The ID tag. So let's start with this. got a block of wood here, a couple of hammers. This thing is not going to be perfect, but I'm going to get as close as I can. So I have flattened out part of the curve that it is supposed to have, but that's fine. I will put these two in, the top two screws when I put it back on, then fold it down around and put in the other two, and then it should have its original curve. And that's about as good as it's going to get. That's about as good as it needs to be, really. Yep, good enough. That was the easy part. This hammer has a little bit more weight. We'll try this one. You know, I may want to go shut that overhead door because I am making a bit of a racket, and it is late at night, and I do live within city limits. I'm kind of on the edge of town, yeah, I don't want to bother anyone. It's a cool enough night that people may be sleeping with some windows open. And I'm going to go shut that overhead door. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I try to be very considerate of my neighbors, because the last thing I want is them to complain about me and draw attention to my property here with the all the tractors and whatnot on it. You know, I'm very fortunate not to have any issues with the city so far. So I don't want to start having issues with them. That is looking a lot better. It was dented in here. It was dented in here. There's some smaller dents that I'm going to be leaving alone, I think. I might try to... I don't really have a good way to get in there for that one unless I grab a steel punch. I might try to tap that one out a little bit. That's better than it was. I'm going to leave it at that. Might try to tap this one out just a little bit more on that rounded corner. Take another look. That's shaping up nicely. I think that's all I'm going to do up here. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do up there. So now we move down here. The worst of it is down here. But there's a little bit along here. So we're gonna do that now. Gotta tap that in, then put it against a hard surface. Tap it back down flat. It's looking a little better around here. There we go. That might be a little better for you. Maybe. I really need to get something really hard up inside here and tap from the outside, and I don't know what I wish I had an anvil. I so badly wish I had an anvil. I do not have one. I may have to invest in one for doing this sheet metal work, straightening sheet metal, old engine and tractor tins. Let me brainstorm for a little. Actually, I think I might have spotted something that maybe I can use. Something that might help me a little bit. I'll bring you guys back in just a little bit. Okay, I think I got something here I can use. I have this old Estwing hammer. And this thing has been very useful over the years. And I think I found a new use for it. This thing's a little bit worse for wear, as you can see. Look at the handle. It's got chunks missing. I actually coated this handle in aerosol can of Plastidip to give it make it like a fresh grip again. But this handle, or this old hammer, I found in the truck bed of a pickup truck in a junkyard. I had a toolbox full of tools with me, and junkyards don't typically charge you for tools that you find out there, so I just threw it in my toolbox. They charge you for, they're in the business of selling car parts, not random tools people leave behind. So, anyways, I'm able to fit this up in there, and that gives me a hard surface to kind of hit against. It's definitely not perfect, but it's better than nothing. This bottom is going to be the worst part. It's not going to be very pretty, that's for sure. Where did I put? Ah, there it is. Okay, here's a pretty good dent. Let's see where we're at on the outside. This is far better than where it was when we first started in the first video, when I had to do a little beating on this just to get it so the flywheel could go around without hitting it. But now I'm going to go on the inside, and I'm going to go work my way around from the inside. Gotta make this part round again. Hey, that's shaping up nicely. That's round. Some rust and dirt that's coming loose. We're gonna get that out of there. All right. This was flat and actually caved in. As you can see, it is round again. So now I'm going to be working on this radius here. From here over to here. That radius that goes from the front side to the outer side. I'm gonna flip and use the rounded side. Hey, sorry about that. My phone stopped recording because my storage filled up. I guess I just recently have been forgetting to delete old videos and stuff. So I went and did that. Deleted some old pictures, deleted some apps I don't need. Anyways, let's continue. Now let's try it. I think that'll fit nicely. So let's put the screws back in. There they are, all 4 screws. Come on. Kind of reshape that curve a little bit. Alrighty, let's tighten them up. See how this thing looks. Gotta be careful not to over tighten them and strip out the holes, because then it'll never hold and I'll have to use pop rivets, which I don't want to do. Alrighty, let's see how it looks. That came out pretty nice, not gonna lie. I see a couple spots I'm gonna try to tap out with a small punch, but it's nothing I can't do off camera. Overall, I'd say that came out pretty good. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I am not I'm not like, I am no expert at like forming sheet metal, okay? But yeah, I am very happy with that. I'm very pleased with that. And yeah, that's gonna work nicely. I just have to test fit it, see if it interferes with the flywheel or not, which I can do right now. Man, this thing's heavy. They don't make them like they used to, do they? Where did I put that screw? It is right here. Oh, I forgot. Let's move this back aside. I need to fix that tab. It is bent. There we go. That is straight again. Need the impact. Now, see if it rubs or not. I'll tell you what. Come on. It does not rub. It is very close. This down here needs to pull out a little bit. But it does not rub. All right. Well, I'd say that is a success. Well, I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video here because I am certain that it has gone too long. And as far as welding this other tab on, that's something I'm going to do off camera tomorrow. And I've got a good amount done in this video. I repaired that hole in the magneto cover. I addressed the exhaust and got it set up and ready for a new exhaust. What else? Got the fuel tank removed, the remainder of the fuel system removed, or the whole fuel system actually. I got this cover squared away. This has to come back off for cleaning tomorrow. And there's a couple other little dents here and there I'm going to try and tap out, just minor details, you know. Yeah, I got a good amount done. I'm quite pleased with that. The the remainder of this evening, I'm probably just going to do some little things off camera. But yeah, all right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Are you a sheet metal person? Are you good at working with sheet metal? Please give me some advice. Drop a comment. Give me some advice for the future, because I know I have plenty of other sheet metal pieces that I need to fix, dents that need to hammer out, things that need to get straightened out on other projects. If you like the kind of content you see on this channel and you have not yet hit that subscribe button, make sure you do that, and I will see you in the next one. Later.